Hello and welcome to Yes, You Are Brave. This is a podcast where we are going to set off on a journey together to find and build our brave, where we explore all the ways that you have been brave and all the ways that you can be brave again. Because even though we may have forgotten or we may have fallen out of practice, we're all brave. And I'm on a mission to prove it and help you believe that yes, you are brave. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Yes, You Are Brave. I'm Pawnee. I'm your host. Super excited that you are here. Let's talk brave, shall we? So we are in a bright, new, lovely, shiny year, and I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we all decide to do, right? So today I want to talk about the temptation to quit on our goals. And I know that it's that time of year. Everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people love to make New Year's resolutions, and they love to make goals, and they love to go charging off on these new paths, which is fantastic and lovely. But then the motivation, the new and the shiny wears off, and the motivation starts to wane, and there is a really big, huge temptation to just be done, to quit, to stop trying to improve. And so today I want to talk about being brave enough to rest instead of quit, and what that means and what that can mean for your life. And I know that it's hard to not give up on things and to not get frustrated. We very much live in a world where everything is a now. We live in a now society, a now world. We want everything right now. But real goals, real progress doesn't get made is not a right now thing, right? It is a one step at a time, baby steps, little tiny bits of progress over lots of time. That's how we make progress. That's how we actually meet our goals. And so it is very much a thing that I think we need to plan for. So I don't know how your goals are coming. I don't know what you've decided to do for this new year. I have a few that I have been working on. Again, I'm not really a resolutions person. I am a goals person. I'm more of a, let's make some goals. Let's start working towards something and making progress. So how are we going to rest instead of quit? Now, first of all, I want to answer the question, why do we need to rest instead of quit? And I think that comes down to the fact that we're all going to run out of motivation. We are. We can't be crazy motivated all of the time. It just doesn't work that way. Maybe you are one of those weird people, those wonderfully weird people that can just be motivated all the time and keep going no matter what. Most of us, though, I would say, are not those kind of people, and we run out of motivation eventually. Eventually, it comes to the point where we just don't want to do it anymore. The goal is no longer new and shiny. It's no longer fun, or we reach a point where it gets hard. Because at first things are new and exciting, and then they get hard. And that is when it is super easy to quit. So I want to talk about, that's the why, right? That's the why it's important to rest instead of quit, is because eventually we're all going to run out of motivation. Our goals are not going to be as fun. They're going to get hard. We're going to have to do things maybe we didn't want to, and it's easy to quit. And also, quitting is easy. It's really easy to quit. It's really easy to give up. And so we got to learn to rest instead of quit. And one of the ways that we got to do that, I think, is, are you building rest into your plan? And this is something that I have only kind of really started to understand the last couple of years. And I'm a little embarrassed to say that, but it's because, I don't know, I kind of come from a place and a situation where you kind of have to keep going. I grew up on a ranch where it doesn't really matter how you feel. Animals still have to be taken care of. It doesn't matter what the weather is. Animals still have to be taken care of. It doesn't really matter. You just have to keep going. And I think that is helpful in certain situations. And definitely if you are, doing anything with animals or things like that, they have to be taken care of regardless. But now I'm in a point in my life where I'm not taking care of animals anymore. I live in a household where there are animals, but they're not my primary thing, and I don't live in that situation anymore. So it is very easy on my own goals things like this podcast, things like my book, things like building a business, it's really easy to be like, oh, I'm done. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. But I've also come to learn the last couple of years, a lot of things that people say, people that are successful, is you got to plan for that lack of motivation. You got to plan for rest. You got to plan for the dip, is what some people have referred to it as. And I think that that is a great thing. Are you, and in your goals, how are you planning to rest? Sometimes people, they start off, it's always the classic goal of like, oh, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to work out like 5 days a week for an hour and every day going to the gym or whatever. And they don't plan in rest. And so if we don't plan in rest, it's very, very easy to just not, to when we get tired, to just be done. So first thing that I want to tell you is you got to plan in some rest. And I know that that is not always easy and that's not always fun. But a lot of times the work to get to our goals isn't really fun, because we get to our goals by doing those small, simple, I said this before, but those unsexy things that are going to get us there. So, but first of all, we need to plan to rest. Maybe it's not feasible for you to work on your goal every single day for an hour. Maybe it's just not going to work out. So is there a slightly better plan that we can do, a little more realistic plan, I guess? Not better, but more realistic plan for you to meet your goal. So let's build in rest to our plan. So maybe it's like every other day. We start with every other day. Maybe we start with Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the first month, and then we add to that slowly. There's lots of ways of doing it. You just have to find a way that helps you to keep going. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is stop beating yourself up when you struggle. We have this idea that we have to be perfect at everything, and that is just not realistic. It's just not how it works. You're not going to be perfect at everything. You're not going to be good at first at everything. There are going to be some things you're going to pick up and they're going to be come supernaturally to you. They're going to be easy. They're just going to flow. And other things that you're going to need to do either for your goals or for life, whatever, they're not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to pick them up. It's not going to be easy to sit down and do them. And it's going to be a struggle. So you've got to learn to stop, but you've got to learn to stop beating yourself up. You've got to learn to stop demanding perfection of yourself right out of the gate. And it's okay to have some things that you just struggle in. At the present moment, my full-time job, I work as a tutor for in a residential treatment facility, and it's interesting when you get the kids that they're really good at lots of subjects, and then they get a subject because their school is online, and so they get a subject that they're not as good at, and they're really struggling. I had one kid was just like, but I hate this, but I'm not getting the grades that I want. They were getting like low B's, but all of their other classes came really easy, and this one did not. And so they were really struggling with the low B's, the high C's. But and we had a lot of talk. I've had a lot of talks lately about it's okay to not be good at a certain subject. It's okay to struggle in a certain subject. You just gotta learn to be patient with yourself. And know that not everything is going to be perfect. Not everything is going to be easy for you. So that is the next thing. Also, I want to say this, and I don't know who needs to hear it. I know that this was me for a long time, that go, go, go attitude, that like just keep pushing, just keep going. It's not sustainable. It's not. The go, go, go all the time is not sustainable. Neither is the white knuckling it all the time, meaning just like holding on for dear life and just brute forcing, trying to like just hold on through sheer will. It's not going to work all the time. It is not sustainable. Yeah, it works for a while, but then eventually you're going to crash. You're going to run out of steam. You're not going to be in a place where you can just do that. Just keep going or just keep holding on with nothing but your willpower. You're going to get tired. So plan some downtime, plan for breaks, plan frequent breaks. And that's another thing that I talk to my students about at school is that sometimes we have to keep going. We have to just sit down in the chair and we have to work on it whether we feel motivated or not, because motivation is going to be waning, waxing and waning, and we're never going to know exactly when it's going to show up. So we have to show up regardless of the motivation. But we also need to take breaks. And some of the things that I found most helpful is the thing where I sit down, especially like when I'm writing, I will sit down, I'll set a timer, and I have to sit in the chair and I have to write for that amount of time. Now, do I always have a productive period of time? Not necessarily. But if I show up for myself and I say, okay, I'm going to work for 30 minutes and then I can take a break, it is a much more productive 30 minutes than if I were to just make myself sit there and work on it for an hour and a half. The next thing I wanted to little touch on is that you need to remember that in any new endeavor, there is going to be a learning curve. And a lot of times it's likely to get harder before it gets easier. That is just kind of the way of things go. That is kind of the pattern of learning as well. A lot of times we will learn something and we think we've got it, and then it gets harder before it gets easier. That's just the way that it goes. So we've got to learn to give ourselves grace and also to set achievable goals. Stop setting goals that you know you're not going to reach. Stop setting yourself up for failure. Let's set some realistic expectations for yourself. Okay? If you know that you have not been working out or you have not been exercising in any way, shape, or form since last January, and you've decided you're going to work out an hour every day, that's not realistic for you. There's no way you're going to achieve that. So set a realistic goal. Start with 10 minutes every other day, or start with 10 minutes a day. Start with a 5-minute walk on your lunch break. Set realistic expectations. I think one of the things that really prompts us to just quit a lot of things is we set unrealistic expectations for ourselves. We set these goals that are not achievable, that we know we can't reach, and then we get really upset with ourselves when we don't reach them, when we don't succeed. And I think we're just setting ourselves up for failure. And I think if we want to be more successful overall in life, we got to stop setting ourselves up to fail, and we got to start setting ourselves up to succeed. And so I think that reaching for goals is great. And even if we don't meet them, sometimes we got to still reach. But also we need to set ourselves up for success in some way, shape, or form. The last thing that I want to talk about, and this is a totally little nerdy teacher moment, is that I want you to keep in mind when you're setting goals and you're setting all of these things, you're working toward these things, is there's what's called the zone of proximal development. And yes, this is totally a teacher thing, but it's the point that's just beyond what you already know and are comfortable with. So when you are working towards goals, when you are trying to do this new thing, remember that you got to go just beyond what you know, just beyond what you're comfortable with. That is the zone of growth. That's where you're going to grow. That's where you're going to become better and all of those things. So remember that it is just outside of your current knowledge and your current comfort zone. It doesn't have to be very far, but let's be brave enough to push yourself out to that and realize that, okay, it is going to be uncomfortable. And if you know that you're going to be a little uncomfortable, if you know that you're going to struggle just a little bit because it's just outside of what you are comfortable with, then you can make those preparations and those adjustments as needed. So that is what I have for you this week. I really hope that you can keep going with your goals. I heard somebody talk not too long ago. They were like, oh, but I love setting goals. Because even if I only do it for 3 or 4 days or 10 days, then it's more than I would have done it anyway. And I thought, well, that's a good way to look at it. But also, is there a way we can set those goals and keep working on them in a way that's going to actually keep us going? So yes, set goals, work towards them. Even if you fail, it's okay. It's okay. You're not really, if you mess up, don't say that you're failing. Say that maybe you messed up. And it's okay to rest instead of quit. Every January, I do the 30-day yoga challenge with Yoga with Adriene on YouTube. And this year, I was determined I was going to do it again, and I was going to do it in real time. But then last Sunday came and it was the anniversary of my dad's death, and I just was really struggling. And so I didn't do yoga that day. I just didn't. But the next day I picked up with where I was. So yeah, I'm still doing the challenge. Am I a day behind? Yes, I am. But I'm still doing it. I'm still showing up. And when we decide that it's okay to rest, then we are less likely to quit. So remember that you can be brave enough to rest instead of quit. You can keep making progress on your goals, even if it's not perfect. You have got this. You can do this, and you are worth the effort, and you are worth the work. I love you. I believe in you. And yes, my lovely friend, you are brave. Believe it, believe it, believe it, because you matter. I love you. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. And if you enjoyed what you've heard today, please leave a review down below and share this with anyone that you feel like could use a little more brave in their life. And if you'd like to follow more of my journey to be brave, you can follow me on social media and link down below. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to be brave.